It's finished. Manchester United 0, Arsenal 1 in the Premier League title race. We are soaking wet outside of Old Trafford. Our clothes are stuck to our skin. Mate, did that just sum up Man United's whole season, that performance?
The biggest cheer you got was for the Thunder and Lightning at the end of the game. That's just our season. Teams don't have to come here and play well for us to play bad, and that's just how we've been. That game typifies every game we've had this season. And listen, it's not as bad as probably a lot of fans thought it would have been. A lot of people hold 3-4. To limit them to 1 is you come away thinking it's not too bad, but Manchester United shouldn't be thinking that a game against Arsenal. We should be taking the game to them more, and I feel like we should have done that a little bit. I don't think Arsenal really got out of second gear, really, and that's detriment to Manchester United. And as much as we huffed and puffed, we looked toothless, and Arsenal won it at a canter, I think.
Casemiro at fault for the first goal, playing Kai Havertz so far onside. The rest of the game, he was all right. Let's be quite frank about that. Are you still shook, though, that Erik ten Hag is sticking with him at centre-half, even though you have had a bit of an injury crisis this season?
Yeah, I think it's one of them ones you see, it's like, he must play there, but then you think, Willy Kambwala came on, looked okay when he came on for Johnny Evans. If you've got 2 centre-backs in the squad, play the 2 centre-backs from the start and get Casemiro back in midfield, and Amrabat came in, didn't do too bad. But I think that's... He looks at the moment, Casemiro, he's got a mistake in him every single game, and unfortunately for Manchester United, it's come at a cost for the goal for them today.
Do you have to get rid of him in the summer? Of course, he's still got, 2 years left on his contract, but he doesn't look like the same player he was, does he?
No, he massively drops off a cliff, and on a season where a lot of players have done that, Rashford, a lot of players aren't looking or performing to the level you would expect them to on the regular. You know what? Personally, I would rather keep him for a year. I think if we're going to bring in 2 or 3 midfield players, if you're asking me who I think can help them more than, can Casemiro help Mainu and another midfielder more than McTominay and Eriksen? 100% he will. Is he going to play? Will he accept not playing every week for the wages on? Absolutely not. Will the club want that? Absolutely not. So business sense, you need to get rid of him. For the actual team and progressing with someone like that, because we don't have many leaders in that team, and he's one of them. And if Varane's going, I'd rather keep Casemiro. But when he's performing like that, it's kind of like there's nothing else you can really say. Then he's probably going to have to go.
Is there a fear within the fan base that if there is no European football next season, Ten Hag could go?
I think, for me personally, I think when you look at what's happened this season and the drop-off, and we were all excited because we wanted to progress more, close that gap on the 2 teams that finished above us last season. That's obviously not happened. We've been terrible in the Champions League. We're only looking at the FA Cup now, and it's against City. We saw what happened last season. I think his job should be on the line regardless. I think if you're a big club and you're wanting to be seen as a big club and challenging for the highest honours, have the highest standards week in, week out, should that be acceptable? Would Barcelona, would Real Madrid, would Bayern Munich, Arsenal, City, would they accept this season under a manager despite being 2 years in? I don't think they would. So it should be looked at anyway. Yes, the injuries, yes, the players have let him down, but he's let himself down as well, and that shouldn't be forgotten as much as, the players have been a shambles all season.
I personally believe that United don't deserve European football for starters, and maybe it'll actually do us a good, because every single season United have gone into Europe, it don't look like we're going to compete deep into it anyway or push the competition. We had a decent spell in the Europa League last season, defeating Barcelona, but then the following round we lost to Seville. So that just shows the quality of this United side. At times it's so inconsistent as last season and this season, but I feel like United could do a season without Europe at the same time, because 1, we don't deserve it, and 2, it might actually give a lot of players a wake-up call that United are in the mud almost, and you could say under the stormy night. But I just personally believe that United in Europe for 1 season, that shouldn't happen.
If Erik ten Hag does get you Europe, if it's the Europa Conference League, does he deserve to stay in the job?
I back Erik ten Hag no matter what the result is, and that's quite controversial because a lot of fans are Erik ten Hag out. But my question is that 1, who do you get, and 2, I would much rather see players go before this manager. You saw it today. Arsenal are top of the league for a reason. We've been one of the best teams in Europe. They've been the best team in the league, and at the same time, I personally believe that Erik ten Hag, with a bunch of players he's got, with the amount of injuries we have, we're still playing that 3-2-5 formation when we are attacking. We just look so wasteful in possession, which is why we're not winning games.
Last one as well, Casemiro. The fan just before you said he'd like to see Casemiro stay at the club for his experience. Do you get rid in the summer? Because, mate, he just does not look like the same guy.
I personally believe that Casemiro has been completely outran, and I would keep him. Honestly, I feel like that in playing at centre-back, he's doing a job because Harry Maguire's injured. Johnny Evans is just, unfortunately, not good enough despite how good he is. Johnny Evans is a red, you know the chant if you're a United fan. But at the end of the day, Casemiro, I believe, he brings that elite mentality to the squad. Obviously, we know what his previous career is like at Real Madrid, and I feel like having a player like him, whether it's coming off the bench or playing 16, 20 games a season, he could give us that quality during this rebuild.